Take three. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Iggy's Toy Parade and Soldier Review. This is your host, Iggy, and tonight I'm going to be talking about 7th Cavalry figures by Britain's Deetail. And these figures are trademarked 1971. That's when Britons began manufacturing these. And in the beginning, they were made in England. And you can quickly determine if a figure is made in England or elsewhere in that they have a metal base and they look like they're a wafer. They're shaped in a rectangular form, and it will actually say on, let's get this over here. It'll actually say on here, Britain's Limited 1971 Deetail made in England. I didn't really... How's that? Okay. Now, Britons ran into some financial troubles, and actually, I'm not really positive about that, but what I am sure of is that Britons dropped the line, and there was a multimillionaire in Argentina who enjoyed the figures and was disappointed to see them discontinued. So he made arrangements with Britons to pick them up and have them manufactured by his company called DSG. And the new figures are now made in China. And you can determine that at first sight by looking at their bases. They have sort of instead of a Kelly green metal base, they have, which is a rectangular shape. Let's show you what that is like. It's a rectangular base, and it says Deetail made in England. Okay. Well, the Argentinian figures, such as this one here, have an oval elliptical base. Can you see that? And they also say Britain's 1971. Can you see that? But they're made in China. So how do the two match up? Well, let's get a Britain's and a DSG and hold them side by side and see how they match up. So let's take this one again. Sorry, this is tilted at an angle and I can't really see them. So here's the DSG. Let's see if we can move the light a little bit. Okay, there's DSG, and here's Britain's. Now, first thing that I noticed is that the brass on the hat on the DSG is painted, and on the Britain's, I don't know if you can see that, it's not. Now, you can see that the rifles are bent. I was really careful with these when I put them into storage. I had wrapped each one in tissue, and you can see that. Look at his rifle. It's really not too good. But anyway, another difference is that this guy has the yellow stripe going down the side of his trousers. Can you see that? And this fella, he doesn't have that. Also, on the DSG figure, his belt buckle is painted, the brass color, and on the English one, they didn't do that. One other difference is, let's see, the canteen has the strap painted, and on the English one, the strap is unpainted. You got a red scarf. The hats are slightly different. They're more of a taupe color on the English one. And then on the DSG, he's more of a tan colored hat. Sorry, it's hard for me to see this. The canteen strap, you'll notice, is painted. And on the English one, it is not. He has a red scarf and English guy yellow scarf. You see that and that. Then their long johns. He has blue long johns, and this one is red. Can you see that? Also, his mustache is painted on the DSG, and on the English version, his facial hair is not painted. So there's some of the differences between the DSG. So in terms of painting details, I would say the DSG is probably superior. Now look at this guy's rifle. This is what happens in storage. It looks like that German gun they invented to shoot around corners, which was a big failure, but whatever. Germans were fond of developing weird weapons during World War II. And why am I mumbling? What was I talking about, guys? So I like the details with the DSG. Let's get another one and see how it measures up. We'll take the Bugler, the I don't know why I can't say that tonight, but he's got pretty good detail on this DSG one. You can see that his suspenders are painted, his canteen strap is also painted, his belt buckle is painted, his eyebrows and eyes are painted, the brass on his hat is painted, his belt buckle's painted, and none of those things are painted on the English version, as you can see here. This one doesn't have a yellow stripe on his pants. I think a lot of how we think of what cavalry looks like is based on John Ford movies. The costuming of the cavalry figures in that are, in Fort Apache when Henry Fonda is wearing a havelock on his kepi. Those were abandoned really early during the Civil War, early days of the Civil War, because they found them inconvenient and they didn't really keep your head cool. So they got dumped pretty quickly. The only ones that the British, well, it's named after a Britishman, the Havelock, but they dumped those themselves. They did have a version of it, a quilted version of it, that they put on their helmets during the campaign in the Sudan in 1898. And then, of course, the world-famous French Foreign Legion, they also kept that flap. And then lastly, the last time you see a flap like that would probably be the Imperial Japanese, and their fatigue cap sometimes had those flaps on it. Anyway, I think the paint job on the DSG is superior to that of the Britain's Deetail. I do like the metal bases on the Deetail. I'm not sure. I think I like the forest green because it looks more like grass than the Kelly green. These poses, of course, I really like them. As far as the which pose do I like best, I suppose you guys would say, oh yeah, of course he picked this one. This is probably a Hollywood version of Custer, and it's very doubtful if he looked like this in the final days of his life. He was actually going bald, and his wife, I think her name was Elizabeth, said that he was really overly sensitive to the fact that he was losing his hair. Okay, guys, so there's our Britain's detail, and in the background, I have what I think might be a Charles Schroivogel painting, and this is a very highly unlikely scenario. The Native Americans were too smart to engage in this fashion. They were more into probably surprise attacks and things of that nature than pitched battles. They didn't have a lot of men in their various tribes to be wasted on fruitless endeavors such as attacking a fixed installation, such as this one. But we have a lot of myths about the frontier days and the conflict between the cavalry, the U.S. Government, and the indigenous peoples, because of all the movies that were made, especially in the 1950s. That was probably the heyday of the Western. Now, I remember when I was a boy seeing a troop of cavalry figures going down, and of course they had the big, fat yellow stripes going down their trouser leg, and they had the suspenders and the yellow scarf. I mean, I don't know why no one bothered to look it up. Nobody looked it up. It says, is this authentic? So in the Civil War reenactment community, we used to call guys that would dress like that a farb. Now, I've heard the history of the word farb. I can't remember it, and a lot of people claim the word farb is being coined by themselves, but who knows? A lot of times the origins of words become lost over the years. Anyway, these troopers looked like farbs, but when you're a little boy, 8 years old, that was the most exciting thing I had seen, is these troopers going down my street on horseback, and there was quite a number of them. So I thought that was very cool. Now, where I grew up in Canoga Park, California, they used to do a lot of filming not far from there. In fact, Roy Rogers used to live in the community next to ours called Chatsworth. He had a ranch out there. And then in Simi Valley and in parts of Chatsworth, they did a lot of filming of Westerns. So I was able as a boy to see quite a bit of that. And so hence my love for these kinds of figures. Anyway, guys, before I get into another story, sometimes you have to reach out and stop me because I get carried away. That's it for tonight. I want to thank you for visiting me again. Thanks for joining the Iggy Army and getting Iggy with it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That way it lets me know that someone's out there listening to me ramble on. Do you remember that song by Led Zeppelin? Anyway, you guys take care, and I'll see you next time.